So did you know that this is the oldest gay bar in Manchester?
So, I mean, I knew it was a really important gay bar. I didn't know it was the oldest.
Yeah.
When was it? Like, how old is it?
So 1865.
Wow,
so
amazing.
pretty old.
Yeah, amazing.
As a key gay bar in Manchester with a huge LGBT scene, how do you feel coming into a university which has like Canal Street or pubs like these right on their doorstep?
Oh, look, I think it's amazing, right? Because it just reflects the incredible diversity of the city. And, you know, not only do we want people to come to work and be themselves and be able to express themselves, whether they're queer, whether they're gay, whatever their expression of themselves is, you also want to be in a city that embraces that as well. So it's a huge, huge sort of superpower of Manchester to have this kind of diversity everywhere, including on the campus.
Have you been anywhere on Canal Street so far?
So yeah, so when we first moved here in July, actually, we came down one night and you know had a meal and a drink, and it was amazing, very very dynamic. You know, moving from Sydney, which had a really big LGBTIQ kind of queer population, Sydney, Mardi Gras, so it's always been a really important part of the cities we've lived in. And I feel really privileged to be able to get to know this part of the city now as well.
How does it compare to the Sydney scene?
Of course, it's amazing. They're equally amazing. Yeah, it's different, and it was great to be able to participate in the Pride event in August as well. And that
I saw you dancing.
That's a dangerous thing to see, I have to say. But what's it like being a queer person in Manchester in 2025?
I think for me, like, I'm from Manchester, and when I first decided like which university I was going to go to, like I really wanted to stay here just because of the real queer scene here. As somebody who grew up in like not an accepting household, it was really important for me to like be able to find my community in the city. So like I found quite a few friends at school, at college, university. University specifically, I found a lot of queer friends because I was able to be like open and out then. And like in the city more generally, I found like so many places where I could kind of be myself. And because of like the diversity of the city, because of everything that I was seeing and all the representation that I was able to see in Manchester, like I started writing poetry about my experiences as well, which was really cool for me because it was able to allow me to express who I was in a really cool way. So I think being a queer person in Manchester is cool. You do get like the odd occasions where people might be a bit like not accepting because like I wear makeup, a lot of people don't think that I'm like I'm queer. So like I always get like comments, but more generally, like it's a great place.
It's really brilliant. It's a really safe space. It feels like it's a really accepting space and a really sort of quite celebratory space. When I was younger, I used to come into town, like into Manchester, for events like Pride, or we used to just come just to see Canal Street. It felt like this other place that was so accepting, and it was always one day I'm going to be properly a part of that, not just coming to see it. And coming to university here was amazing. It gave me a chance to come out to people and sort of be myself properly among peers. And then the SU has had a load of brilliant opportunities with societies and with the associations to get involved in sort of increasing support for queer students and even just increasing social spaces and stuff like that. So it's been really cool to be here. It's definitely...
It's good to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely good.
As an international student, I think coming to University of Manchester and Manchester totally was the fact that this city has such a vibrant and beautiful and accepting, welcoming LGBTQ culture was one of the reasons that did influence my decision of coming here. People are very welcoming, people are very sweet, they're very accepting of the way that you want to do things around here. And I think a lot of students at the university are also just very sweet, very welcoming, accepting. I think acceptance is something that I would, that's something that's really important to me because I did not get a whole lot of that from where I am. And coming to Manchester, people here were very sweet, and oh my god, I'm just saying sweet a lot. Am I not?
It's a good word.
It's true.
It's true.
Right?
Like that.
a lot of safe spaces
Yeah.
where you can just be yourself, where you're not being judged. Meeting people like Aisha and Jess were so sweet and accepting. It always has definitely made my experience coming here very nice.
Good. No, thanks for sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's the oldest gay pub on Canal Street, and even as far back as in the World Wars, there was records of drag shows going on
All
here.
right. Oh, wow.
So it's
Okay.
always been a celebration of queer culture, even if it's not been explicitly known as a gay club.
Right.
And it's been here a lot longer than people think of. And
Yeah,
drag
yeah.
shows and queer culture
Yeah,
has been
yeah,
in
yeah.
Manchester
Yeah.
for a lot
Most
longer
people
than
wouldn't know
think.
that, right? Like most
Yeah,
people wouldn't
no,
realize
it's-
that that culture has been in the city for as long as it has.
Yeah, it's been happening for ages. It has really been a big thing. And then as as time went on and homosexuality was decriminalised, there was more clubs opening. A really important club opening was Manto's, which is a couple of doors down. It's now on bar. And that was the first club that opened with big windows.
Right.
And it was just after the decriminalisation of homosexuality. And it was a way of sort of queer people celebrating, saying, no, we are allowed to be seen. Before that, a lot of the older gay pubs are like this with the frosted glass, so
Bit
you
dark
can't
and
see in.
closed. Yeah,
So it was kind of hidden from the outside.
wow.
But this was big windows, mirrors, so everyone could see themselves,
Yeah,
and could
yeah.
show themselves
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
And also during the day, it was open more as like a cafe. It was
Yeah.
a family space, so it was this real sort of change in queer culture and queer nightlife into this sort of celebration of queer identity rather than this.
It's
sort of
amazing that,
hiding.
I mean, one thing that's really interesting to me is Canal Street's kind of retained its identity over all these
Yeah,
years. How's that?
definitely.
Because how's that been possible? Has that been a
So-
conscious thing, or it's just something that just happened?
So in the 80s and 90s, the owners of the venues here sort of formed a collective, and they went to the council, and it got designated as the gay village.
Right.
So they wanted it to become sort of a protected area of
Yeah.
it is the gay village. Partly to increase sort of tourism and financial, but also to protect that
Yeah.
queer culture and that queer history that is so evident here.
Yeah. I think it's quite distinctive, and not all cities are able to do that.
No, it is a really, really special part
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Manchester.
yeah,
And I know that there's a lot of tours and stuff around, and
Yeah.
there's the rainbow plaques around
Yeah,
the city
yeah.
on a route that
Yeah.
sort of have key historical
Yeah.
areas.
We did a
Manchester.
general walking tour when we first came to Manchester in July, and we came down.
Yeah.
Canal Street. It wasn't a LGBTIQ themed walking tour, but
Yeah,
it was,
but no, there's.
so I think it's part of all
It's
the
just
tours.
it's such a
Yeah,
key
yeah,
part of the city.
yeah,
It's so close to the centre, and it's so famous. Like
Yeah,
it's internationally
yeah, it is,
famous.
it is, yeah,
it's
it is.
such a key
Yeah, it is.
like nightlife spot, but also just that such a celebration of queer culture.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
when Pride happens, it's completely overtaken.
Yes,
and
I
it's,
saw that. Yeah.
There's
saw
so
that.
many gatherings throughout the year for various things, and
Yeah.
like a lot of vigils are held at Sackville Gardens and stuff like that, and it's just a really nice space. It's a really special space
Yeah,
within
yeah,
the city.
yeah. Good. Yeah, fascinating. The sun is coming out. Hooray!
So in Manchester at the university, what support is there on offer for LGBT students?
So obviously there's the support that hopefully LGBT students access along with other students. So we've got the counselling services that are available for all, and that's important sometimes. We've got the report and support facility that we hope students can use and find effective. But then we've got societies, ally networks, a whole range of sort of activities and support that comes through staff and student kind of activities as well.
Amazing. What other outlets do you think that we could use in order to promote like LGBT inclusion across the university?
So I think it has to be part of our general commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I think it's quite a challenging moment in the world right now, where a lot of institutions, a lot of places are backing away from it. I think we've got to really step into it and make LGBT a really important part of our commitment to EDI. And we want to be the university where great LGBTQ students come and staff come, and the community feels really that it's a place for them, that they can make the university their home. So I think we've just got to be upfront and public and loud about it.
Yeah. Do you think there's a risk that the backtracking from diversity, equity, inclusion in other countries could drip into the UK?
Look, there's always a risk, but I feel really strongly that there's a lot of support for equity, diversity, inclusion, and all the communities that we're trying to support. I don't think we face a sort of crisis at the moment. Doesn't mean we can be complacent,
Yeah,
but
of
I
course.
really feel, especially in this city, right? And here we are on Canal Street. You know, in this city, in our institution, I think there's a lot of support. It's deep, kind of in the DNA of the place. But you know, we can't be complacent about it. That's for sure. I mean, are there things that you think the SU needs to be doing or thinking about in the future? I mean, what are some of the things you guys do now to support our students? LGBT
So
students?
last year was the year I introduced the Gender Expression Fund.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is open to trans, non-binary, gender diverse, intersex students. They can apply for up to £150 for anything they consider to be gender affirming, and it's gone really well.
Yeah,
Like
has
this
there been
year-
a big take up for it with it?
Last
or?
year there was 142 applications. This year so far, in 2 months, there's been over 40
Oh, wow.
applications, and yeah, a lot of them consist of like either gender affirming clothing, so like binders, or like help with hormone treatment costs.
Yeah,
Because they can be really expensive.
Yeah.
Especially like with on the NHS.
Yeah.
Prescription costs. And also we have our like trans association chair, LGBT association chair, which you've spoken to. We have our societies, and we're doing a lot of work with the university to look at toilet provision on campus.
Yes,
so
yeah.
Gender neutral toilets.
I was going to
and-
mention that. I mean, that is something really practical and important that we can keep. I mean, the campus has pretty good facilities now, but I think there's more that obviously we can look at, more that we could do.
Yeah, I think we definitely like. I think one that I've really been pushing is in the Alan Gilbert Commons.
Right.
Because obviously they're only 24-hour buildings, so
Yeah.
it's really important that students are able to go in there and feel safe to
Yeah.
access those.
Yeah.
And I think I've also been speaking to like the IT services about name changing, and because there's a lot of different systems that you have to change names on.
Right.
So it isn't exactly streamlined.
Yeah.
So we're trying to work that out at the moment, just to make sure that students can go to the IT person and then get it sorted as quick as possibly can, so they don't have to deal with being dead named. So I think those are two really like.
No, I
key
have heard that.
practical-
You know, one thing I have heard from students is the need to continue to invest in staff development, so
Yes.
staff feel confident dealing with the diversity and in a positive, constructive way. You know, being able to support students in their classrooms, support students in the, you know, in advising wherever they encounter them. And you know, we've done some work on sort of streamlining and really focusing on the key things we want all of our staff to feel supported and trained to do. And I think this is probably one of the areas.
I think also like pronoun usage is also really important in like seminar spaces or like email signatures for staff across the institution. I know there's been a real push on it. But yeah, I think it would be really good because it makes everybody feel included and makes it less daunting for other people.
Jess, how would you explain the importance of us getting pronouns right, whether it's in our classrooms or on campus more generally? Why is it so important?
I mean, it's a simple thing of respect, really. It's the same as getting someone's name right. You know, it's a part of them. It's something that, you know, it's easy to do. It's not hard to get someone's pronouns.
It's a simple
correct.
thing, right?
Exactly. And it's easy to share yours, and it's really important to create that sort of culture of sharing pronouns. So including pronouns if you're introducing yourself, like lecturers at the start of term, you know, their name and their pronouns. Putting them in your email signatures, things like that. It just creates this really safe and accepting space for trans people. And it gives them that respect of, you know, I respect who you are. You know, and you wouldn't like it if your pronouns were wrong, so why should that be the case? You know, for trans people or for genderqueer people, it's the same.
No, that's really helpful. I think that's really helpful. You know, thanks.
I wanted to ask you about support for independent students. So a lot of queer students are independent or have no contact or support from their family. And it can be quite hard to become properly registered as independent, and I just want to know what sort of support the university is offering for those students.
So I mean, I think there's a number of things. I mean, one thing is we can actually give our independent students a sort of named contact, someone who they can talk to about some of the issues that come up that other students might rely on with their family or friends. So a named contact. There's also accommodation support. So we actually have dedicated accommodation support to help independent students figure out, where they can live. That's often a really big challenge, and really understand that. There's financial support. There's also external support. We have relationships with a whole different array of foundations and associations who we can also connect independent students with. But I mean, I don't know, are there other things you think we should be doing?
I think there's an issue with that gap between people who become independent from their families and from when they can get registered as independent.
Right.
So particularly with student finance, it's 12 months
to
become registered as independent. You have to be apart from your family, and there's a lot of students in that gap that get missed and fall through the cracks in that area in terms of financial support, in terms of wellbeing support, and I think that is the real gap. That university and student finance and everything.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good feedback. Yeah, that's useful. Okay, good, thanks. So, Jess, where are we? What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is the Beacon of Hope, which is a memorial in Sackville Gardens. So it's to commemorate everyone who's lost their life to HIV or AIDS. It's also quite a central part in a lot of other vigils that happen. So when there is, significant deaths in the queer community, or at the end of Pride, the Pride Festival, we always have a big vigil here and a big memorial service, and it's gorgeous. The whole park gets full of people with candles, and it's just a really nice sort of reflective sort of time.
No, good, thanks.
So Duncan, Manchester having such close ties with Emmeline Pankhurst, Henry Stokes and Alan Turing, who are such notable and historic personalities. How are you as the Vice-Chancellor making sure and paving the way for LGBTQ people in the future?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think the first thing is what an amazing history, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we should be really proud of the incredible sort of contribution that queer people have made, not just to our university, but to the city of Manchester. So I think the first thing I want to do is make sure we really celebrate that history and our students know about that history, because it's something that might make them think, I want to be part of that legacy too. So I think it's really telling that history and being proud of it. And then I think it's making sure that we're doing all we can to support our LGBTQ students to really flourish here, to really feel as though they can express themselves, be themselves, wherever they've come from. I mean, I know you've come from, you're an international student, but wherever you've come from, we want the university to be a place where you can really be yourself and express yourself. So I think that's probably the most important thing. That
like a safe space.
A safe space, absolutely, and a space where you can really, not only succeed in your studies, but meet new friends, really, fulfill your, ambitions and grow as a person as well.
So as a university, how do you think that we can make sure that the government's anti-trans rhetoric doesn't affect trans people in our campus or in our community?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I mean, I think at the very least, we need to make sure our trans students feel as though we've got their back, that the university is supporting them, because, it's hard to control what governments and other people say, but the least we can do is say, you're welcome here, you're supported here, you belong here, and we're going to support you. So I think that's probably the most important thing we can do.
If there's any campaigns that students are leading, would you be prepared to get involved and help lobby the government on certain policies?
Yeah, I mean, we want to see our students protected from harm. We want to make sure our students can come to university and flourish and succeed and pursue the studies and have the experience we want them to have. So absolutely, I think the university should do whatever it can to make sure that can happen. And if that means talking to government, if that means working with the student union to make that clear, then we should absolutely do it.
Amazing, thank you. So Duncan, have you ever been to a gay bar?
I have, but I haven't been to this one.
Oh, should we have a look?
Let's go.
Okay, so Manchester Pride in 2021 was my first ever Pride, and I went out with a few friends. It was when I wasn't out to my parents, so I was pretending I was at a friend's house, and then I had work the next day. I was working in hospitality, so you can imagine on my first Pride I went a bit wild. So I stayed out until about 6 a.m.
Oh.
And then I couldn't sleep so then I had to get up at 9 a.m. But you know what? It was a great night. We went to the church actually, and then we went to JY and then New Union. And yeah, it was brilliant. It was really nice to see like everybody there, and everybody was just like dancing together, making friends, and it was just like felt like a real nice community.
Memorable night.
Yes, I mean, partially memorable, but yes.
So I have 3 favorites. The first one is Via, which is known for its drag shows. I love drag queens. I love their makeup. I love the music. It has great music, great food. Then I like to go to the Molly House, which is also a great vibe. I love the music there again. But my personal favorite has to be the Feel Good Club. It's actually run by a queer couple. They're so sweet, they're very welcoming. It's a very nice, safe space for people from the community to just hang out, talk, meet new people. A really fun vibe and great music.
So Jess, great night in Manchester. Where do I go?
Here, so we're in the basement.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, we're in the basement of Brewers, which every Tuesday has Filthy Gorgeous, which is like a club drag show that's absolutely great fun, a really good night out, especially with students. My personal favourite club is Church, just up the road. It's fully accessible, which is great. And
Why is it so good? Why is it your favourite?
I mean, someone sang karaoke to the Teletubbies, so it's you can't beat it. It's got good music, good vibe.
I'm just visioning that right now. That's pretty fantastic.
I've been there with the 90-year-old grandmas out with 3 generations. It's just a really nice,
fantastic,
fun space.
Fantastic.